in order to be open, in order to prepare for this coming of Christ within us, this advent, which is what life really is, an advent, preparation for the constant coming of God. Be open to the Holy Spirit. Now, that mostly means reject sin. Live in a state of grace. You can't have, how do you expect God to live in a dirty house? He doesn't. You've got to clean up the house. God isn't going to live in the same house with a bunch of devils.
If you're baptized, you're in the army. You have to learn your warrior's role. You have to be a man. All too often, the enemy has won in recent years by default. We've been complacent. We've been weak in the knees. We've had that anatomical deficiency called a lack of a spine. And all too often, the enemy has gained ground as the result of it. I grew up in the greatest country in the world. I think one of the most moral countries in the world. When I was a boy, the air of freedom was clean and pure. You could be proud to be an American. Now, I still love my country. 1967, I had a 4F draft deferment. And many young men at that time in history would have killed for a 4F draft deferment. That was a medical deferment. I didn't have to go in the Army. I couldn't be drafted. Instead, I worked with the equivalent in those days of a physical trainer to overcome a deficiency, an injury I'd received, so that I could get in. Why? I wanted to serve my country. I was 18 years old, and I loved my country. I believed in it, just like many of you. My dad, my grandfather, nothing new. That's what we do. When our country needs us, we go. We're ready. You ever been motivated? You ever been highly motivated? You have to be highly motivated to be a soldier and to go to war. You have to be highly motivated to acquire the skills and the knowledge necessary to survive in combat. Well, you've got to be highly motivated in this war, because this is the war to end all wars. You win this war, you go to heaven. You lose this war, you go to hell, period. Exclamation point. I can't get around that. If there was an easier way, a softer way, I would have found it by now, and I'd pass it on to you. There is no easier way. That's it. That is in-your-face truth, and we have to acknowledge reality. Learn your faith, man. Many of you are the head of families. Learn your faith, because you can't give what you do not have.